Good morning, everyone. I want to thank Elet and Dr. Ravi for this opportunity and welcome all the education leaders and faculty members and all the innovators here. It's a great pleasure for me to be here. I'm a technologist. I've been building technology since 2000s. So basically, I'm going to share a few thoughts with you all. And we've been working with higher education for 10 years now. Right. So this is food for thought. We are talking about education 4.0, right? Especially, I'm talking all about higher education here. And many of you have accomplished a lot of things in building universities and building curriculums and generating outstanding students, right? So my presentation will focus on a few issues and solution for it, right? And which is faced all over the world because we as a company that we work at least 20 plus countries today with some of the largest QS ranked universities, even top 10 ones are in our client list. So we are privileged to interact with some of the top-notch education leaders, do some research together and come up with solutions that solves the problems of today's higher education, right? So what is University 4.0? As a caveat, I like to mention that there is no 1.0, 2.0, 3.0 that can be measured, right? It's just a thought process for us to think about. Where did we begin as universities? From Nalanda's halls, where we were reading manuscripts. Now today with the augmented reality and virtual reality, right? And so the idea is how universities have evolved, students have evolved, and what are the challenges and what are the solutions, right? Now, the idea of 4.0 is some of the universities have achieved to some extent. Many are still catching up, right? And in this, we have several components. Like this is the era of 4.0, where the focus is a lot on the technology, right? Where the focus is on international students, multiple campuses, and the students start learning things through digital means, right? Now I could go to online courses and get my credits. And now micro-credentials have become very famous. The pedagogies, for example, we start personalizing the degree, personalizing the courses for the student. Whereas back in the old days, we used to have a cohort who will follow a set of courses and things like that, right? The access for knowledge is plenty. And we used to stop at alumni. Like when somebody graduated and we call them alumni and we no longer call them. But now it has become lifelong learning, right? So we call back and they come back and upgrade their skills and things like that. So education is now lifelong, right? And the research have become multidisciplinary. We research not only within the premises, we actually collaborate a lot. We collaborate with the other departments. So from mechanical to electronics becomes mechatronics. So, and this just keeps growing, right? Technologies, if you talk about technologies, there is Industry 4.0, right? Where if you look at Industry 4.0, there we have IoTs, where computer is talking to machine is talking to data. Things are moving very, very powerful, right? So the revolution of 4.0 is happening. As universities, what we have seen, most of the universities, though they have figured it out, still the biggest challenge remains the same, right? Which is producing qualified modern people who can be employable right away. That challenge still remains. In the 4.0 university, we are not just creating employees who can go work, but we're making them think more of entrepreneurs, right? That's the difference. So to quickly to compare, right? Universities 1.0 to 2.0 to 3.0. the transition has been like this. We started with the oral teaching, oral exams, and in a group of things we studied about religions. Then we moved on to focused ones, like I will learn about civil engineering, or I will learn about mechanical engineering, and there's no automations. And then we go on to lecture based, and then we had labs where experiments were there. Finally, we have come to the era where where students can learn from anywhere, right? Online, they can go to do a metaverse, they can do a virtual reality and things like that. So you can, I'll leave this script PowerPoint to you later so you can do the comparison. Again, there is no measures like university ranking, which one is 1.0, 2.0. It's just a thought, how things have evolved, right? Now, digital transformation has been there in many universities, but there is an evolution process that takes place. Like take a look at cars, right? We used to have cars, and which was completely manual, and we used to drive, and the driver used to do everything. And then we had something called cruise control, right? So it was little bit automated. Then we had some automation where the car started driving with the lands discipline and things like that. It was a semi-automated. Slowly, multiple versions of the cars. Today we have cars can drive autonomous, right? We have cars without the drivers. So slowly, can universities become completely no people dependent, but people are needed, but they're not driven by the people, but it's driven by proper framework and processes that are properly automated, and the technologies are becoming the. So, for example, let's say it's like a map or a navigation for the university to go forward with the future. So, I will talk about 4 main challenges today, right? In any university, offering the high quality, market ready academic programs, right? That's the number 1 challenge. Today, most of the times we find, some people are doing, some universities are doing, or we heard somewhere, and we start working on new courses and things like that. But all over the world, based on our experience, we still find it, our courses, our programs, still needs a lot of help so that we can bridge the gap between the industry. So, and I will also talk to you about this solution for these 4 different challenges we talked today, right? Then, even if we figured out, I think some of the universities are leading this, they teach very advanced courses, they probably work with the industry very closely, build courses, they make the students ready for employment and entrepreneurship, but not most of them, right? But even if you identified, even the largest universities will find problem in keeping the talent, right? Or identifying the talent, or enabling the existing faculty with more skills and things like that. So they become the 4.0 faculties and teachers. So that's the second challenge. Third challenge is universities finding strategic directions, right? The strategic objectives. What is that as an university? What is relevant to that local market, right? Sometimes we get inspired to do certain courses because somebody at Harvard or MIT's or the world's offering it. But sometimes we are not seeing the local opportunities. There was a presentation from government of Andhra that people like that, they have knowledge of the local, right? So how often do we go and set a direction with the combination of industry and the government and the local, social economics, right? So creating that objective for multiple sections, like whether it is student outcome or faculty development or your international programs, we still find it that we do have strategic plans, but how relevant, how better we do it, we have to ask a question. And then achieving the comprehensive digital transformation, right? End-to-end transformation in the university, where all the processes are not just automated, but we are actually transformed by the technology, right? So now look at the car example, right? The car examples are now transforming to the next level, right? The transforming the way you would go to one place to another way. And are we catching up with the industry? the same way Industry 4.0 is going or the rest of the world is going. So that's the thing. Now, and these are the 4 problems I talked, right? Now, if you go to the first problem, where how to identify the best programs that are in the world, right? How to create outcome-based education, or how to collaborate with the industry, get feedback from your alumni, and create a course that is market relevant, that is current. So I go through this course, and which is very personalized to me as a student, and then I can go and get ready for a job placement right away, right? That's a problem we solve. Like I said, we as a company, we've been working with a lot of universities. We actually built a proper outcome-based mapping model. So any university, when they are successful, the graduation attribute is the best outcome that a student can come out, right? When we define our graduation outcome, now we focus more on critical thinking, innovations, and entrepreneurial thinking and all that, right? So how do we map all that? How do we create a course that becomes more and more trendy, right? So we built tools where you could create all your proper learning outcomes for the course, program outcomes, your program education objectives, learning objectives. They're all mapped together. Then what we do, we stop at that, right? Sometimes we keep these things in Excel sheets, and when we try to do assessments, we may not have the proper mapping. So not only we take this learning outcomes, properly map them with the course, with your programs, and also with the graduation attributes, and then you take it to your assessments. Now, any system that is assessing, that should be a very, very flexible system that is not just supporting an outcome-based education, it's also supporting competency-based education. We work with some of the largest universities in the world in New Zealand. We actually work with them on pharmacy. The pharmacies have a very, very different way of assessing the students. Pharmacy services and competency-based assessments, and they will have rotation planners and things like that. So the assessments, we have to be so flexible models in such a way that you could assess a student from a medical degree, or you could also assess a student from an engineering degree, and they are not the same, the way of assessing, right? So we have perfected this type of mapping the education models into multiple technologies, and then the student comes to a systems like this. They pick their degree path. The student and the system should be able to assist it, because the system is knowledgeable about the market. It's knowledgeable about your college and skills that is available. So we actually build all these courses through these technologies, help you build these courses, and then map them with assessment. And then there is a proper course catalog sitting there, and students will build their own academic pathways, right? And then later on, when they start assessed, and there is evidence-based outcomes, right? So when somebody is to come to hire these students, the data is already sitting in the system. The students are able to build a portfolio, right? And the portfolio is showcasing their assessment results and things like that. It becomes so easy, right? And also when you are ready to present your data to accreditation bodies or ranking bodies, the data is sitting there in one system. And now we come to the part where keeping the staff and faculties skilled, ready for the market, right? So imagine we are now creating a new program, right? A new challenge is coming, and we are creating a new program. It's not possible all the time we are able to hire new faculties all the time, right? We have to find the gaps of this, the skills that we have availability. There should be a system that is mapping all the skills, creating them for the next level of training, and keeping them there. So the faculties also get to the next level of teaching and training, and there is a system that is assisting the whole process. The faculties are doing a lot of work. the system should be able to balance their workload. There should be advanced thinking about there. If there are 2,000, 3,000 faculty sitting in a big university, how do we manage their time? Each department will have its own way. We have a case study in Singapore. We work with a very large university. There are 18 different faculties where they teach different things, and they all have their own way of assessing the faculty workload, right? So there are systems that are required to balance this workload. And also, these tools help the faculties to stay current, and whether they are what you call their contributions, their teachings, their research, their patents, their books, whatever. And that should be motivating them to contribute more and set a high objectives. So we talk about strategic direction, right? We built strategic planning tools in such a way that you have different themes, you have different strategic directions, and you have different objectives. Those objectives becomes goals for the different departments, and the KPIs are shared with the different faculties and things like that. So what happens is that we are not distracted by the market, the trends and things like that, but we have a strategic direction. The direction comes with the vision and mission statements. Then we can actually focus and achieve what we are trying to achieve, not, we are competing with other people or something and we get distracted. Now, when organized institutions or universities, when you build a proper strategic direction, when there is a planned assessment, when there is successful programs that are properly mapped with evidence-based, outcomes, now we are ready to, submit our data to, for example, in the UAE, we have a commission for academic accreditation, right? So we have built tools not only to properly present the data for all your criteria, but also you can build your self-study report in a button click, right? So where the greatest gift is education, right? When a faculty, if I have so much knowledge about teaching something, and if my effort is spent on work on academic administrative stuff, where I'm not able to focus, and that's a problem, right? And that's where we need these systems. Navigating, like for example, we every time when we have an accreditation visit or a ministry visit, or we are trying to submit data for ranking, it's a lot of work from everyone, right? Shouldn't that be just a data that's already available for us because we are doing it on a daily basis, right? So why isn't this happening in the digital transformation? How to achieve a comprehensive digital transformation? And that's where I want to talk to you about, right? The reason is that we saw the digital journey, right? The digital journey, even for the cars, it took so many years. 1950, where they introduced the cruise control, and then it taken so many years, so many decades to go to the next level. But if you notice, past 10 years, the cars have become so much advanced, right? With advanced cameras and technologies where you can, monitor around with the lighters and LiDAR technologies, it is possible that cars can drive on its own, right? But if you see the 10 years growth, even in the universities, we have been put into a lot of tests, right? So 10 years ago, we started getting ourselves into accreditation mode, where we have to become outcome-based education or competence-based education. This has become a trend. Then we were hit by COVID. COVID forced us to become more online, and we started offering a lot of online courses, and then different methodology like adaptive learning or flipped learning. So much challenge for educators, right? And where they have to start thinking about new ideas. And then the biggest challenge everyone faced, or it's probably the blessing also, that we have generative AIs that's now more advanced than the faculties, that the students can go quickly learn and come and create a lot more challenges for us, right? So what happened in the past is that we have ended up buying many different systems, like one for student or many for student. Maybe we would have a student information system, or we might have a student retention system or student advising system. Then when they're ready, you would have a career placement system. So even for a student journey, we would have 10 to 15 different systems if you're a large university. Then we forget the faculty in the whole process, right? The faculties will still be dealing with a lot of Excel sheets. So making the faculty life cycle, student life cycle, can there be one integrated system, right? And the data flows across the system. And when this digital transformation is not happening in the proper way, because in the speed in which the whole world is going, we cannot still work with the old way of thinking, right? We need systems that are forward thinking, they are AI enabled, they are one integrated. So what we did was, whenever we work with the country, whether it's India or UAE or Australia or New Zealand, we actually start fixing the accreditation for the part first, right, where the data integration is required. So we create a data structure for them first. Go to a university, higher education, what is their data model? And that's what we try to create first. And that becomes easy for them. And then we address all their accreditation challenges. We had a case study in India. We worked with one of the largest government university where they had multiple campuses, 30 different departments, 35,000 students. And it was a very challengeable because they didn't even have a proper SAS. And so we had to help them with the tools where they can bring the data together, validate the data, and make sure the data is presentable to an accreditation body, and they were able to get the highest ranking. Now, think about where students, we are talking about globalized economy where students can create their own pathways. We built systems where students can go and register their courses in no time through mobile apps, right? This has happened with some of the largest universities. So 10,000 to 15,000 students can register their semester courses in no time. When that happens, what happens? We as institutions, what I've not seen in many universities, some of the universities are doing so well, right? We are not able to predict what is coming. Like when a student is enrolled, and we already know the data that what kind of courses they are going to take, right? So we will be able to plan their course offerings for the 6 months, 12 months, or even for 3 years. Some of the universities that we work in Europe, they plan their course offering for 3 years. So they can plan their hiring plans, they can plan for upgrading their courses and content and things like that. So the digital transformation, when digital transformation don't happen, that you have problem with the data that's sitting in different places. We have a problem with cyber security. We have a problem with the data security. Many countries, like Europe as a continent, or Singapore in the US, the data security is the main item, right? Where there are data processing rules and regulations. So GDPR is one such, right? So we have to comply with all these things. So we protect the data of the university. We protect the student data, personal data, like their degrees and their social security numbers and so on, right? So when we don't properly integrate the data, we put ourselves at a compliance risk. Like you could probably get the highest ranking in the world, but just because your data is not available properly on time, we might end up losing those ranking and things like that. So right. I think I have a mismatch with my screens. So now, what is my submission is that how do we achieve this, right? Because we all try to achieve this with multiple systems. So when 10 years ago, when we started working with big university, what we realized is that the systems that's already there were focused on one area, whether it's student or institutional effectiveness or student success. They become products after product, and it's very hard to update them and integrate them. And there was issues with integration, things like that. So we built something called a no-code, low-code platform, which means it's a platform where it has a control to change itself later on whenever we need it, whether it's changing your academic data or it's changing your applications and things like that, where you don't need to have a lot of coding skills and knowledges. You could just change the, let's say somebody is asking for a report of, who are all the students at risk, right? So systems like us, we will monitor the students at risk by various criteria, whether their attendance rate or course participation and things like that. So you can pull a report without going to an IT. with no computer knowledge. Right? So the low-code, no-code platforms automates a lot of the workflow. Right? For example, you may have a course approval process. Where you have a budget approval process. Every university is very different. So the system has to adapt to the in needs of the each universities and things like that. Now, this no-code, low-code platform, also what we did was we integrated the data into one place and added AI on top of that. So we will be able to predict your student success rate and try to retain them before they drop out and things like that. And this is the complete suite of our products. What I like to submit here before I close my thought is that when we start thinking about university, we should start thinking about data, right? When we are trying to transform ourselves digitally, we should start getting all these frameworks ready in place. So when we go to universities, some of the universities who are in the mid-size and small size, we go fix their framework first. We go fix their policies first. We take a lot of help from the biggest, largest university and try to help them to change the policies or change the framework so they are, on par with the industry or the big universities, right? Then we talk about the digital transformation where you first automate it and where you just become comfortable with the technology and we start moving with the proper data driven decisions to take smart decisions and things like that. We, in this process, as you can see, in the student life cycle itself is a huge process where you start with the CRM, admission, course registrations, then you go on to students watching their course through a learning experience such as LMS, and where their assessments can be submitted and they can see and the complete process of career also. Like for example, you invite a different industry to come and hire, so we manage all that process in one solution. Then we help you onboard a proper faculty, map their skills, keep their talents, flexible assessments for the faculties, receive feedback from students, whether through your course evaluation or through surveys. We help you, receive the feedback and use them during the faculty performance periods and things like that. And we also do a lot of things like financial aids. We do scholarships and things like that. So it's a end-to-end system. I don't want to bore you with the product suites. So we are here in the booth. We can come on the left side. We have a booth. You can come and meet us. We can talk to you about how we transformed a number of universities in the world. So with that, I will conclude. Hopefully, we can start thinking the digital transformation on the whole. We would like to be a good partner and giving you either advice or help you with the digital transformation. Thanks for this opportunity. Thanks for listening to me.